Welcome back, design students. So let's talk more about the graph editor and a little bit more about the dope sheet. I'm going to open up the dope sheet again. And I want to expand the transformations for the cylinder. And I want to show you here that there is a summary frame at the top of each transformation. If I select the summary frame and move it, I'll move all the frames under it. If I select any one transformation, such as this frame here, and move it, then I'll just move that transformation, and it will still have a summary key. It looks a little misleading, but we're only moving that transformation when we do that. Now, there are lots of other things we can do in the dope sheet. The dope sheet is basically a tool for us to adjust the timing of our animations and our transformations, and again, without affecting the value of any keyframe. So to affect the value of the keyframe, we need to use something called the curve editor. And we can open the curve editor up here, or the graph editor, and we can also open it by clicking this button here. And that just changes the dope sheet to a graph editor. We can also use the animation workspace here, and that has the graph editor docked down here above the timeline. And we can also switch to the dope sheet if we want to. We can also open the dope sheet here and several other editors here, but the dope sheet is the one we want to open. And we can open that here. And when we click that, at least for me, it opens up this thing, which is not the dope sheet. This is the time editor, but over here is a tab for the dope sheet, and there it is. And you can adjust it like this, and here are the keyframes that we were working with before. And we can go back to the graph editor here if we need to. Now, if this workspace gets a little messed up for you, and it might, you can always come up here to the workspace menu and reset it. So I'm going to make sure that the graph editor is open here, and I'm going to move this a little bit. Now, if you don't see your tracks here, simply expand the cylinder, and you will begin to see the tracks here. If you want to just work on one translation, then of course just select that one. Now this is the translation in the Z direction here, and remember it stops at this point. And this is your playhead, and then the cylinder starts to move up and down. Here is the translation in the Y direction, up and down. If we select one of the keys, you will see some information over here. This is the position of the key. This one here is on frame 80, and this is its value, and its value is 6.325. Notice that number is also up here. Now we can change that value by simply typing something new in here, or we can move the keyframe up or down to change that value. We can also change how it behaves by manipulating these Bezier curves. Now, how the curve is shaped between keyframes is called the keyframe interpolation. This cylinder, as it begins to move up here, slowly accelerates, and then as it reaches the top, it decelerates. And then it accelerates down, decelerates as it hits the bottom, accelerates up, decelerates as it hits the top. Now, this doesn't give any sense of weight. If we wanted it to look like it was bouncing and it had more energy when it hits the ground, then we would have to change the interpolation here. Now to do that, we can manipulate these keys like so, or we can select the keys and we can click some of these little tools up here. I'm going to click this one, and that changes the interpolation such that it actually looks like it's bouncing now. Now, when we play the animation, it's going to look like it has more energy or weight as it bounces. Now it's moving very slowly up. If I wanted it to move faster, then what I would do is I would grab these keyframes, stop the playback, and I would grab these keyframes and move them closer together. Now, if I just move them, I might move them up and down in addition to moving them left and right. If I want to only move them horizontally, then I'm going to hold down Shift as I begin to move. And you can see now this is going to happen faster. If I wanted to adjust the shape of this curve further, notice if I move this handle, they're both moved together. What I need to do here is break this tangent. So I'm going to select this keyframe here, and up here on these buttons here, there's this one right here that says break tangent. So I'm going to click that. So now I should be able to move this tangent separately from the other one. I'm going to do the same with this one, and now I'll have a much more energetic collision with the ground, if I can ever move it. So now, when we play this back, we'll have a much more energetic collision with the ground, as you can see. So, in closing, the purpose of the curve editor or the graph editor is to allow us to affect how the motion behaves by changing the value of the keys and the interpolation of them, or the tangency of them. That's also another name for it. So when we come back in the next video, we will begin to animate the rabbit, and I will show you how to, I will show you how to animate different motions for the rabbit and how to make him do some things. And I'll see you then.